It's Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what that means? We're going to party. We're going to get in a 2023 fantasy football draft. We're going to get in a Basketball Mania 1. And just in case you've been living under a rock, just in case you don't know what Basketball Mania is, this is the largest tournament on Underdog Fantasy. This is the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place, the $1 million for second place, some crazy regular season prizes as well. Let's go ahead and let's get in this draft, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming out with us. We have a ton of spots open in this draft, so I'm assuming we're going to be going up against a lot of y'all. And yeah, TC out here, Mark Word, always happy to see you as well. We're at pick 2. Y'all know the rule of the live stream. I only get pick 1. I only get pick 2. I don't get anything other than that. But yes, we have a ton of people out here. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And let me know if you're in this draft with us. We have Jimmy out here in here at pick 8. I feel like we haven't seen Jimmy in one of these drafts in quite some time. Thank you so much for coming by, my man. Braden says pick 5 in another draft. Then we have a J Madden pick 11 in another. We got Prod in here out literally every single draft with us. Prod in this draft at pick 7. Al out here at 4. Jeremy made it in at pick 5. Super happy to see y'all. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. And if you're watching this as a video later on and somehow you're not subscribed to the channel, fix your life. I am live streaming every single day until 2024. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jamar Chase at 2 and not going to think about it too much. Really, the only thing that you have to think about is what do we do at the 2-3 turn? Do we go with an elite level quarterback, or would we rather grab Joe Burrow at either pick 47 or pick 50? So let's see. But I mean, Chase himself, the easiest selection here. Now we have CMC off at 3. Al Peterson decides to go Tyreek Hill at pick 4. I'm assuming Rex decides to pull the trigger on Cooper Kupp. Yeah, Cooper Kupp off the board there. Okay. Let's see. Riley says, how am I supposed to know what to do after pick 2? I don't know, my man. I don't know. Milani Kid says, dude has a 50-50 exposure on Chase and Jefferson at this day. I wish I did. In reality, I'm sitting like 10% Jefferson, and I think last I checked like 7% Chase. But Cameron asking if we ever take CMC. Not really. I mean, with Christian McCaffrey, particularly on Underdog, like if we're able to get Saquon Barkley at like the end of the second round, I would rather just take a wide receiver and then see if we can go Barkley at the end of the second. You're just going to find such good values when it comes to running backs later on in these Underdog drafts. Now we have Bijan Robinson off the board at 10, AJ Brown off the board at 11. Have you all noticed AJ Brown falling a considerable amount? I mean, it seemed like AJ Brown used to go pick 8. I thought we were getting unique. I thought we were going to have like an uncommon take when we ranked CeeDee Lamb over AJ Brown and when we were taking Lamb over Brown. So, okay, well, nobody else is going to do this. And then everybody's doing it. So it looks like that it's not unique anymore. And Adam says James Robinson round 18 masterclass. Yes, we have some pretty big news today. You have James Robinson going to the Giants. You also have Melvin Gordon going to the Ravens. Dobbins being put on like unable to perform list, something like that. I don't know. I think James Robinson is a viable 18th round selection. And I think that you have a reason to take Melvin Gordon as well. I think you have to assume that Melvin is a little bit more interesting than Gus Edwards at this point. I mean, I've drafted literally 0 Gus Edwards. But Chris Olave off the board at 18. Barkley goes 19. Sadly, we do not get Saquon Barkley. And oh my gosh, can you imagine if Jonathan Taylor would have made it to us at pick 23? That would have been so damn exciting. Okay, I don't want to queue up exactly what we're looking at, but Devonta Smith goes pick 21. Okay, Straw took Christian McCaffrey round 1. Let's see what they decide to do here in round 2. They go T. Higgins. So for that reason, we're going to grab Derrick Henry. I mean, this goes back to why we're taking Jamar Chase over Christian McCaffrey, right? Like here, if we wanted to go wide receiver at the end of the second, we'd have to take DK Metcalf. I would rather not. Now the question is, do we take another running back? Do we take an elite level QB? Oh my gosh. We can't take Hurts in every single draft, can we? We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to take Jalen Hurts. Seems like every single draft for the past 2 weeks now, I've drafted Jalen Hurts. But Austin coming out says, new idea. League fees go to regular season MVP. Bet of champs choosing. If it hits, winner takes all. The rest is split among the league. Okay, so league fees go to regular season MVP. Bet of champs choosing. Interesting. I think it maybe depends on what your league fees are. But, and of course, real quick, if you are not drafting with us on Underdog yet, fix your life. We're doing this every single day until 2024. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. That's how I drafted 700 teams and how I won $150,000 last season. And I'd say now is 100% the day you need to be getting on Underdog. The Mahomes line up until July 22nd, so you need to run to take this ASAP. This is the free Mahomes bet. And yes, if you signed up with promo code FLOCK today, 2 years ago, it doesn't matter. That should be in your lobby until July 22nd. And if you are not on Underdog already, you can sign up with promo code FLOCK, and they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And here is where Underdog is available. Pretty much available everywhere. Available in Canada as well, outside of Ontario. But let's see. Lamar Jackson off the board at pick 34. Vadim says, am I the only one who takes Mahomes at the 301 instead of 212? So I can say I took my elite level quarterback in the 3rd round. I mean, my man, that's the cheat code there at that point. You take Mahomes at pick 25 instead of 24. You soak up all that value, and then you have the excuse to grab another quarterback early later on. Mr. Clad says, how happy are we that James Robinson is back on a team? 40% James Robinson, round 18, over 200 drafts. Yeah, if y'all weren't here about a month ago, I made the worst call on the freaking planet. I was drafting James Robinson when he was on the New England Patriots in round 18. Like, I put my eggs in the basket of someone who was cut in May. Now he finds himself on the New York Giants. We have to be excited about it. But to be honest with you, I don't know how excited we can be because the New England Patriots had him in their building, saw what he was, and then said, no, we're good. We don't need him. No, we got it with Ramondre Stevenson and Pierre Strong. So trust me, it's better than James Robinson staying a free agent and not getting signed, but it's still not like James Robinson super exciting, right? Okay. Jay Madden says, Mason, what's your take on week 17 bringbacks? I don't see the point of it, really. I think it matters a tiny bit. Now, I was the only person to win multiple tournaments on Underdog last year. I also got 16th place in Best Ball Mania. I would say in general, I had more success than anybody else in Underdog tournaments that you will ever find. Now, with that being said, I did not care at all about week 17 bringbacks. It's not something that I spend my time focusing in on. While I do think that there is a small level of importance to it, I think that there are way more important things in these overall tournaments to be focusing in on. So I think if you have one of two options to either really care about targeting your week 17 bringbacks or to ignore it, I think ignoring it's better than not, to be honest with you. Okay. Now, Travis Etienne goes pick 45. If Etienne would have made it to us, I would have been over the moon. Now, let's see this. Straw on the clock. They went CMC, Higgins, Mark Andrews through the first 3 rounds. They go Mike Williams, so we're going to go ahead. We'll pull the trigger on Terry McLaurin. And I'll talk in just a second about our quarterback strategy in general. But now we're going to go DJ Moore. I think it'll be a super easy selection of DJ Moore here in round 5. Specifically on Underdog, especially in Best Ball Mania, when there were a lot of teams that took DJ Moore at the 3-4 turn. Now, I want to talk about some different possibilities on when maybe it makes sense to not take Jalen Hurts. If you were looking at our decisions there at the 2-3 turn, I think that there'll be a lot of Jamar Chase teams that we would rather just take Joe Burrow there at pick 50 than Jalen Hurts at pick 26. But in my mind, I think those teams are going to be the teams where we get T. Higgins also falling to us. So 100% I agree that we have to be considering Burrow there on a Jamar Chase start. But I think if we are trying to make it make sense on when we take Jalen Hurts versus when we take Joe Burrow, I'd say if we get Higgins making it back around to us, then we go ahead and we pass on Jalen Hurts and we target Burrow later on for the double stack. But if we instead say go with a player like Derrick Henry there at pick 23, maybe that can give us an excuse to take Jalen Hurts. In reality, I just want as many excuses as possible to draft Jalen Hurts. That's the main thing we're looking at. Okay. Henry says, I'd rather have Burrow Chase in round 5 than Hurts in round 3. I think if I knew he would drop. I mean, in my mind, you almost guarantee yourself Joe Burrow at the 4-5 turn if you take Jamar Chase. But I don't know. It's so hard for me to pass on Jalen Hurts here. It's so hard. And I know it seems like all we do is draft Jalen Hurts now, but still at the end of the day, I only have Jalen Hurts, and let's pull this up, 8% of my drafts, which is right on average. But the reason being is I literally never took Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the offseason when he was going at the 1-2 turn. I mean, I went like 6 weeks without taking Jalen Hurts a single time. But now when he falls to this point, which is where we said we would draft him if he fell, it's hard for me to pass. Okay. Vadim says, Brian, bringbacks. Oh, yeah. So if you don't know what a bringback is, a bringback is in an individual game. It's going to be a member of the opposing team that your main stack is going against. So for instance, say if we were to go through and take Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow on the same roster, what a lot of people think is very important to do in underdog drafts, and I think that there is some importance to it. I just think that there are other variables that matter way, way more, is to bring a wide receiver or a running back from the offense that they were going up against in week 17 on your roster later on. That way, if that game turns out to a true shootout, you can have multiple pieces of that contest. Overcome says, I favor Higgins ever so slightly over Olave. Obviously, Higgins has the elite level quarterback play. My thing with Olave is just, if you look at him as a prospect and on top of that, you look at how good he was as a rookie year one, like he literally comps to guys like AJ Green, Julio Jones. Like he looks so damn good. Okay, so Watson off the board, 67. Hate that for them. Love that for us. I know what we're wanting to do if we get the ability at 71. Lawrence goes 68. Good for us as well. We're not really considering Lawrence here. Akers goes. Not really considering Akers here, so excited to see that. We are going to go ahead. We're going to take Kyle Pitts and not think about that one too much. We're going to take Kyle Pitts, 71, and then hope that we go with the bully tight end strategy of Dallas Goedert here at 74. Really like the tight ends at this price point. In general, my rule of thumb when I'm taking tight ends in these drafts or I don't know if it's rule of thumb is, or rule of thumb is if the tight end can outscore the wide receivers going in the same range, you probably should take the tight end. And in my mind, I think Kyle Pitts can outscore Jordan Addison. I think Dallas Goedert can outscore Quentin Johnston. So in my mind, I think that while a lot of people are not going to be doing this, this is one of my favorite ways to attack this kind of tournament, especially if it's going to be a unique build overall. I really like this team, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, wide receiver, we have Chase, McLaurin, DJ Moore. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts stacked with Dallas Goedert. Running back, we have Derrick Henry. And then tight end, we have Kyle Pitts and Goddard. But Mark Ward says, I worry Olave will be last year's Kyle Pitts. The thing with Kyle Pitts last season is if you look at the Atlanta Falcons offense, they were second. They were bottom 3 in the NFL in passing yards per game over the past 10 seasons. Now, it seemed like they got overshadowed a bit with how bad they were if you compare them to the Chicago Bears, where the Chicago Bears were the worst passing offense in the NFL over the past 10 years. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a good spot if you were an Atlanta Falcon last season. But Gabriel says 6+ rush TD parlay. Montgomery, Madison, Ramondre Walker, Eckler, Pacheco, plus almost 1,200. Thoughts / sub suggestions. Also, over under 6.5 rushing touchdowns as a large solo play for Madison. In general, my friend, if you look at player props for season long, about 65% of the time, the under hits. It's always the case that the over looks easy. Of course he's going to get to this mark. Of course David Montgomery's going to have 6 rushing touchdowns. Of course Ramondre Stevenson's going to. In reality, so many outside variables can impact that, where generally going into the year, I am only taking unders in terms of season-long parlays or season-long player props. But reality strikes is keeper question, Jalen Hurts for a 6th or Ramondre for a 7th. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts for a 6th, my friend. And I will say the one scenario you don't want to be taking the under for a player prop is actually want to be going more than half a passing yard for Patrick Mahomes week 1 this year. Now, I know 65% of the time the less than hits, but I have a strong feeling with this line of Patrick Mahomes that he's going to do well. And of course, if you want that player prop, it is on Underdog Fantasy right now, live until July 22nd. So you need to take advantage of that ASAP if you want it. And of course, if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. More importantly, have some fun getting these drafts with us. But let's go through. Elijah Moore off the board at 92. Okay, James Cook goes 93. This team is a very similar build to ours. They just have one more wide receiver and one less tight end. This was the CMC build. Yeah, I want to speak on this as well in just one second. So Tyler Boyd goes. I think it's going to be an easy spot to try to get the pair of Baltimore Ravens wide receivers here on the turn. Y'all know generally I am not a big fan of the price point of these Ravens wide receivers. But I mean, if we were going to be able to get, say, Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, I thought it would make sense to do so both at a pretty strong value while making that one consolidated bet. Sadly, that does not happen. So instead, we're going to have to pivot over here to go with the running back. Between Gibson, Charbonnet, A.J. Dillon, I think you can make an argument in a couple different directions. Specifically because we've already made the bet that the Washington offense will be better than people expect by taking Terry McLaurin. Might as well go ahead and quote-unquote double down on that bet by taking Antonio Gibson. But I want to know your opinion on this, ladies and gentlemen. So, Mr. Class says, why did the Ravens sign old Melvin? Zeke, Hunt, Lenny must want some money. Let me know what y'all are thinking. As someone who has drafted a lot of Leonard Fournette, as someone who's drafted a lot of Kareem Hunt, as someone who's drafted a lot of Ezekiel Elliott, this was not my initial reaction, but as I sit here and really think about it, it has to be a bad sign that James Robinson, it has to be a bad sign that Melvin Gordon's getting drafted, right? I mean, obviously, the contract details may be a little bit different, but if multiple teams are going out there and signing running backs and they're in agreement that we don't want to be signing Zeke, we don't want to be signing Fournette, we don't want to be signing Hunt. Instead, we want to go ahead and we want to take Melvin Gordon, we want to grab James Robinson. I don't know. It is something that concerns me. I mean, if I'm pulling this up, I have 10% Kareem Hunt in these drafts. I have 12% Leonard Fournette. I have 5% of Zeke Elliott. So I guess I haven't taken as much Zeke. And I thought those guys, I mean, yeah. Saram says Hunt to the Ravens would have been good. Yeah, Hunt to the Ravens would have been great, right? Would have been great, but Mr. Cloud says it almost has to be a money thing on why they signed Melvin. I don't know. Can it really just be a money thing there? Can it be? And then I see some people making an argument, Mason, you want to go Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is much better than Rashad Bateman. I'm going to keep it super simple. I don't really like either wide receiver at price. The reason we go Bateman over Flowers here is simply because Bateman has a higher ADP. So generally, if I'm trying to pair up both teammates, which is what we are looking to do, I thought that there was a better shot Zay Flowers going to make it back around to us to pick 98 in comparison to Rashad Bateman. Now, clearly, I was wrong with that assumption. Maybe if we would have gone Zay Flowers, maybe we could have gotten Rashad Bateman on the way back around, but it is what it is. You live and you learn, ladies and gentlemen. You live and you learn. All right, now let's swing this back around. And it's not like I have a strong preference personally between the two guys. I mean, it would be different, obviously, if I thought that one was significantly better than the other. Okay, Penny off the board at 113. Prod on the clock. I want to look at Prod's team in just 1 second, especially as he takes Juju here, where I do like this new price point on Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah, I think Prod has a very, very interesting team here. And y'all know I'm not generally in favor of the Travis Kelce builds. Brian says, rumors Zay's looking better than when he came. I saw that as well. Just in general, I don't care about those. Like, if it's some random beat reporter saying, oh, yeah, this guy looks great. For me, it's generally in one ear, out the other. That team goes Greg Dulcich, pick 115. Good for us. Obviously, we're done drafting tight ends. So I'd love to see them continue to take tight ends. Now, if we wanted Cousins, we would have to take him here at pick 119 because he's not going to make it past the team at 120, but I don't really see a reason for us to take Kirk Cousins. We don't have Hawkinson. We don't have Jefferson. Khalil Herbert goes, who is actually someone that we were going to be considering. So now I think once Khalil Herbert's off the board, we just take a quarterback with access to some spike weeks, someone that does have some rushing upside. So we're going to go Daniel Jones. Here, I don't necessarily know who else we want. We can assume that Jamie decides to go Kirk Cousins for the double stack with Jefferson and Hawkinson, which they do. Okay, Nico Collins off the board as well. Do we take Devon Achane or do we reach a little bit on a running back that I prefer? I think we're actually going to reach on a running back that I prefer in Elijah Mitchell. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I get why people would rather have Devon Achane. Achane has significantly less competition on his roster. He's not running alongside the best running back in the NFL. But what I will say with Elijah Mitchell is this a running back that I think has a week-to-week role, even with the healthy Christian McCaffrey. And if Devon Achane if CMC were to go down, I think Elijah Mitchell can be a top 10 running back in fantasy, where I don't see a world where Devon Achane is a top 10 option. And to back up my point on why I think that you actually have the ability to see both these running backs at the same time, if you go to Underdog right now and look at player props, they have Elijah Mitchell at 575.5 rushing yards. Whereas if you look at Christian McCaffrey, they have Christian McCaffrey at 865.5 rushing yards. So they do have these guys in a pseudo committee this next year, as we've seen with Shanahan for pretty much ever now. So then you could get some random usable weeks for Elijah Mitchell, but obviously the main appeal is the handcuff appeal if anything were to occur to CMC. Okay. Scorp says, anyone drafted Michael Carter before his ADP rises during Hard Knocks? I was bringing that up, I believe, 2 days ago on the live stream. Now that you have like the New York Jets with Hard Knocks, I think if you try to predict what player sees like the fantasy football bump, what guy begins to get a little bit of hype, I think it probably is just whoever the backup running back is for the Jets. I mean, if you think that's Izzy, then it's probably Izzy. If you think it's Michael Carter, then it's probably Michael Carter. So, I don't know. I'd say in Best Ball Mania, it's not the place to take him because there will also be teams drafted in Best Ball Mania in August, in September. So it's not like you're ever going to have a super unique thing by going ahead and taking Michael Carter. But maybe if like Underdog drops another $5 puppy tournament, or if you're like in, say, I mean, right now, obviously, there's the $5 slow puppy tournament that should close well before Hard Knocks. If you wanted to pull the trigger and take him there, I think it would make a little bit of sense. Henry says, Carter could not get on the field. I have 0% Michael Carter, full transparency. I have 0% Michael Carter, full transparency. But trying to make an argument for if you are a fan, where it would make sense to take him in what tournament. So once we take Daniel Jones here, 119, obviously what we're hoping to see is we're hoping to see quarterbacks continue to get drafted. I mean, I think you make an argument we shouldn't take Daniel Jones, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm in a spot where we have to choose between Nico Collins, Devon Achane, Jarrett McKinnon, Romeo Doubs, Michael Gallup, are these guys that much worse than options we're going to be looking at 5 rounds from now? In reality, I don't necessarily think so. I'd probably rather just grab the quarterback we're very excited about here and then see what we're going to have at wide receiver, running back later on. Because, I mean, if we're looking at the quarterbacks that would have been available to us at the end of the 12th, the beginning of the 13th, there you're looking at Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, right? In my mind, that is a clear teardrop compared to someone like Daniel Jones. Okay, Adam Thielen off the board, 139. Tank Bigsby goes 140. We can't take tight end here. Rashee Rice off the board. Y'all know generally we are looking to grab Rice where we can. Roshan goes. What the hell do we want to do? Miller's not as exciting with the news that you have regarding Alvin Kamara. Did we just pull the trigger on Jonathan Mingo? I don't know. Miller goes immediately at 144. Tyler Algier off the board as well. All right, I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. We're going to reach here. We're going to make a consolidated bet that maybe Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers are better than people expect. Generally, I try to stay away from reaching to build in correlation, to build in our stacks. I think when you're reaching, you're going to be going up against other teams that have the same guys, but they may be out kicking you. But my issue is if I look at DJ Chark in comparison to like Osborne, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alec Pierce, I don't think Chark's any worse than those guys. Like if you're going to go over and look at the player props on Underdog, I mean, right now they have DJ Chark at 700 receiving yards. Do they have a lineup for Osborne? Nope. Do they have a lineup for Marquez Valdez-Scantling? They have Marquez Valdez-Scantling at 625. I don't know what the right answer was to do there, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we are kind of stuck in a bad spot. Maybe the lesson we can learn is try to not put ourselves in that same position again. Maybe instead, what we want to do is take a wide receiver, take a running back instead of Kyle Pitts. That way we can grab another tight end here. Like if we would prefer Tyler Higbee over one of these guys. I don't know. I still think it's completely fine to go Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark. It's just, you're not jumping up and down with excitement, right? Okay, let's move this down. Great for us to see the quarterbacks and tight ends going immediately afterward. Gerald Everett, Kyler Murray, Tyler Higbee, Taysom Hill, Derek Carr, Cole Kmet. You only have 3 wide receivers / running backs off the board in the rest of this round, which is exactly what we're selfishly wanting to see when we're currently sitting with Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones at quarterback, and Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert at tight ends. Okay, so let's swing this back around. Braxton says, did the slow puppy have a close date or just whenever it fills? Yeah, so the tournaments on Underdog is just whenever they fill. Like it's the close date is NFL kickoff. So if they don't fill by then, they'll close and Underdog will have to put their own money in the league pot for whatever's not there. But yeah, if you're looking at this, so the slow puppy right now has about 80,000 entrants still open. If you want to get in that, that's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $75,000 for first place. We actually had a member of the flock last year win the puppy tournament for $75K. Scorp says, will Best Ball Mania fill? I am pretty certain that everything's going to fill here. The only thing that maybe wouldn't fill, I think it probably will, would be weekly winners. Because the thing is as well is people monitor, right? So if something's like halfway to fill and we're a week away from the season and everybody's doing the math and they're going, oh my gosh, Underdog's going to have to put an extra $2 million of their own money into this league pot. Everybody's going to be firing up drafts to try to have access to that extra $2 million, you know? So contests will definitely like speed up in terms of filling if it looks like they're not going to. I know it's like a weird little dynamic that you see, but okay, we are running back wide receiver here, ladies and gentlemen. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 164. Not great for us. It is what it is. Okay, Irv Smith Jr. goes 165. God, I have something in my eye. I think, honestly, we may turn this into a 6 running back build. I know most smart people would say you only take 5 running backs here. But we're going to go Deonta Foreman at 167. And considering the fact we only take 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and wide receiver, I feel like we're not horrible. We have Chase, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Bateman, Mingo, Chark. I think that there's a small chance we could get away with drafting 6 RBs. We're going to go Kenneth Gainwell here as well. Don't love the Kenneth Gainwell price tag, but we get him about 5 picks after ADP. We have Jalen Hurts. We need a running back. So if there's a player that I don't like, when I'm going to draft like 500 Underdog teams this year, we still need to go ahead and take them every once in a while. And if we were going to take said player, it makes sense to take them whenever they fit a stack for us. We get them after ADP at a position of need, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll take them here. And Augustus says 300 likes. You know what that means? Yes, we are 50 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes, we're going to fire up that next draft. And of course, if you want to get in the next Underdog draft with us, whether that's today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, I'm doing this every single day until 2024. Not going to miss a day. You can find the link in the live chat in the description. In the comment section, use promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, and do it ASAP so you can also take advantage of the free line that they have out with Patrick Mahomes until July 22nd. So make sure. I mean, you do not have long at all with that. And also, if you are watching this now and you are on Underdog already and you have not taken advantage of it, please do so before you forget, because I know a lot of times Underdog will put out a free line like that and I'll go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or oh, I'll do it the next day, whenever the deadline is. And then I forget, and all of a sudden I just wasted the opportunity of taking that. William says, Hollywood Brown and a future first for Olave. In general, if it's going to be a dynasty super flex format, I'm always trying to tier down at wide receiver while picking up the extra first round pick. That way we can have some flexibility. I think it's a very reasonable price if you want Olave. I'd say if it's going to be a 1 quarterback format, you probably want to go ahead and take Chris Olave. If it's going to be a super flex format, it's going to be a little bit more dependent on your situation. Okay. Nate says, if Barkley sits, James Robinson's stock's going to skyrocket. I think Barkley's a little bit more appealing in a tournament on Underdog. Specifically, that's been open for a while now, because if you were looking at these Best Ball Mania drafts over the past like month and a half or whatever it's been, James Robinson hasn't been drafted. So if James Robinson ends up somehow being good, then all of a sudden you're going to have a unique team with James Robinson, you know? So I definitely would be a little bit more interested in James Robinson in a format like this than I would be otherwise. And we obviously are going to be looking at Giants wide receivers here. When we have Daniel Jones, I mean, our options are essentially Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, which not great. It is what it is. Maybe we also want to be looking at James Robinson, have a very unique combo of James Robinson and Daniel Jones, and somehow, some way, maybe it could work out. Probably not, but okay. Ty wanting us to draft Cole Beasley. I don't know about that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we're about to pull the trigger on Cole Beasley. Like, what you kind of like to see with Hyatt and Darius Slayton is they are like the only field stretching wide receivers for the Giants, right? Sam Howell goes 190. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Chuba Hubbard. I know most people only take 5 running backs, but in general, I don't mind the Chuba Hubbard price tag. We've already made the bet on the Carolina Panthers offense being pretty good. And we'll go ahead and we'll take Jalen Hyatt as well. You'll know I'm not a big Hyatt guy. We were calling Hyatt one of the most overrated players in underdog drafts when he was going like round 13. But here on a Daniel Jones team where we have no New York Giants, grabbing him round 17 isn't the worst thing in the world. Okay. Let's move this down. And we're going to be going one more wide receiver in this draft, but we're going to do that off the live stream. I'll tell you what wide receiver that we are going to draft. But let's hop into another Best Ball Mania, and there are 11 spots open in this. So I'm assuming that this will be filled exclusively with members of the flock. And yeah, you see that get filled almost instantaneously. So this is probably going to be a pretty tough draft room to go up against. I'm going to get interrogated after this. The CIA is going to be out here wondering what's going on with these picks. This is crazy. We're going to have the CIA, the FBI, whatever the hell they are. They're going to be out here trying to figure out how I only get the 101 or 102. It's going to be another Jalen Hurts team. So right now, let me see how much Justin Jefferson we have. I got a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness Justin Jefferson and then Jalen Hurts get drafted. But let me pull this up. I have 11% Justin Jefferson now. So you're going to be pushing 12% Jefferson. And I still only have 8% Jalen Hurts. But let's go ahead and let's get this going. Justin Jefferson off the board at 1. Pushing that up to maybe 12% at this point, Jefferson. Saram in here at pick 8. Happy to see ya, my man. We got Demonic in here at 3. We got DeMarcus in here at pick 10. And I know, that's what I'm saying. The FBI is going to be out here claiming that this is rigged. John says 107. Henry says, to be fair, you do get some 112. Yes, to be fair, we're at the 112 in some of these. And then, let's see. I believe we also have Bushes out here with us at pick 2, which is exciting. Okay. It's Ronick says I'm always at 7 or 10. Well, I'm not going to complain about being at 1. All I know is if Jefferson goes down, it is going to be not great for us. But Bushes decides to go ahead and pull the trigger on Jamar Chase there at pick 2. And I've taken a lot of Justin Jefferson, and I've not taken much Jamar Chase. I think I have like 7% Jamar Chase, so really hoping we get a big Jefferson season here. All right. Bijan Robinson off the board at 10. Kelsey goes to Saram at 8. Prod in this draft as well at pick 5. Prod always out here with us. Okay, in that other draft, I have my wide receiver queued up. I'm not going to say who it is until we actually draft him. Nick Chubb goes pick 13. Okay. Kevin says, do we mix it up? Devonta Smith. Oh, no, never mind. Devonta Smith and Pitts. I thought you were talking about what we were doing at the 2-3 turn. Vadim's telling us to go Mahomes at pick 3. Let me know. Should we go with Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes at the 2-3 turn as we always do now? Should we? And Prod out here says he only has 8 Best Ball Mania drafts left, so this may be one of his last. I thought I didn't have too many Best Ball Mania drafts left, but I still have like 70 or so. I still have a ton of drafts left in Best Ball Mania. And by the way, max drafts for Best Ball Mania is 150, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Tony Pollard off the board at 119. And we are going to get our wide receiver here. We're going to go Josh Downs at the very end of the 18th round. Who knows? Most 18th round picks are probably bad, including Josh Downs. He's a player that's not being drafted too often, though. Okay. Now, Olave goes pick 20 to Prod. Higgins off the board 21. God, I do not want to be drafting next to Bushes. Smith goes 22. What is Bushes doing here? What is he doing to us? He goes Barkley, as I assumed he would. We're going to go Derrick Henry. I am much more confident going Derrick Henry with the addition to DeAndre Hopkins, just this offense being a little bit better in general. Do I mix it up or do I do what we always do? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to take Jalen Hurts at the 2-3 turn. I know maybe it's boring seeing us do this every single night for like 2 weeks in a row now. I will stop doing this once we get closer to the season. If we get closer to the start of the year and no running back has been added to the backfield in New England, if the New England Patriots are really only going into the season with Ramondre Stevenson, then at that point, I will begin to take Ramondre at the 2-3 turn. But until we see that happen, I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time taking Ramondre Stevenson over Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm irrational in thinking so. Maybe I'm irrational with this thought, but I'm a little bit nervous about Leonard Fournette. I'm nervous about Ezekiel Elliott. I'm nervous about Leonard Fournette. I'm sorry, about Kareem Hunt. I'm nervous about Dalvin Cook. I'm nervous about one of those running backs going over to New England and not taking the starting job from Ramondre, but maybe taking the goal line role. Okay. Now Ridley goes 31. I have noticed Andrews moving up in these drafts a little bit, and Prod decides to grab the elite tight end with Mark Andrews there. I still personally am probably still going Josh Jacobs, but that's just me. Like, I would understand why someone wants to go with Andrews, right? My thing with Andrews is he's just been in a really comfortable position for years now where he's had literally no target competition. Like, of course, hook 'em horns. I don't want to speak down on my guy, but to be fair, like the best wide receiver that Andrews has played alongside for years now has been Devin Singletary. Now you presumably have a healthy Rashad Bateman. You have Zay Flowers coming in. You have Odell Beckham Jr. coming in. I don't know. Okay. Now, Judy off the board, pick 38. Gibbs goes 37. If y'all remember, earlier in the offseason, Keenan Allen and Jared Judy were actually going at the 4-5 turn. Abayal Hamajik says, Andrews gives you so much flexibility later in the draft. See, in my mind, it's almost the opposite. I really like some of the tight end values that you get later on. It's like if we're going back to our rule of thumb, when we're taking like Dallas Goedert over, say, Gabe Davis, I'm not surprised at all when Dallas Goedert outscores Gabe Davis. But would I be surprised if Mark Andrews outscored Josh Jacobs? Probably. Like, if I'm going to be honest with you. Prod says Andrews is my third most drafted player. Let me see how much Mark Andrews I have. Hawkinson goes pick 40. You'll know generally I am a fan of taking TJ Hawkinson when he makes it to us. Okay, London off the board. Okay, I have 5% Mark Andrews. So not much Andrews. I have way more Travis Etienne, who I would have been happy about getting a pick 48. But in reality, when I have to draft next to Bushes anyway, it's highly unlikely that's happening. Okay. Let's see. Prod on the clock. See what he decides to do. He goes Mike Williams, pick 44. Not going to fault him at all for going Mike Williams. Okay, I know at least one of the guys that we're going to get. The other one's going to be a little difficult to figure out. Now, you do have Kenneth Walker going 45. Maybe this makes our decision a little bit easier. Y'all know in a lot of these drafts, I will reach on Kenneth Walker, pick 49, pick 50, pick 51. This team here in the first 3 rounds went CMC, then Devonta Smith, and then Ramondre Stevenson. They go Terry McLaurin at 44. Let's see what Bush decides to do with the start of Allen, Barkley, Jamar Chase. Joshua says this is the killer part with taking Hurts. You can get Fields more at the 4. I'm not gonna disagree with you on that, my friend. Y'all know we said for a while now how much I did not like the DJ Moore, Justin Fields ADP when they were going at the 3-4 turn. But now if you can stack DJ Moore, Justin Fields at the 4-5 turn, it seems really good. But what I'm actually going to do is we're going to take DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to make that one bet that the Tennessee Titans may actually be a good offense this next year. We're going to grab DJ Moore again here at the beginning of the 5th round, just like we did in the last one. I don't really have a lot of DJ Moore at all because if y'all remember, I mean, back at the beginning of the offseason, he was going at the end of the 3rd, the beginning of the 4th. I thought that price point was horrendous, so I literally never took him. But now if he's falling to the 5th round, if he's going after Keenan, Judy, Watson, London, Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, now I think we can go ahead and pull the trigger on DJ Moore. I would prefer DJ Moore over Christian Kirk. But yeah, I feel like we get really lucky to have DeAndre Hopkins making it to us at pick 48 to pair up Hopkins and Derrick Henry. And pretty damn excited about this team as well. Very similar build to the last draft that we have, right? I mean, the last draft we did, we went Chase, Henry, Hurts. Then we went Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore. So really, this team's about the same. The only thing we change is we go from Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin to Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins. But outside of that, a very similar team so far. Okay. And real quick, of course, if y'all want another draft after this one, go down there, drop a like. If we hit 600 likes on this live stream, we're going to be firing up another draft after this. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, whether that's today, tomorrow, the next day, the day after, this is Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. I'd say now is by far and away the best time to get on Underdog because obviously sign up with promo code FLOCK. You're going to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Plus you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And the reason you got to sign up now is so you can still get access to the Patrick Mahomes line up until July 22nd. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Stoner Sports says, honestly wild to bet on the Titans. I mean, in some of these drafts, we have to, right? Some of these drafts. Bushport says, I was deciding whether I wanted Mixon and Kirk or Hopkins and Jones, and I'm already making a bet on the Bengals, so I decided to draft Mixon. If you did not take Mixon there at pick 47, I would have drafted Joe Mixon. Like, say if you would have gone DeAndre Hopkins, I would have gone Joe Mixon, DJ Moore. If you would have gone, say, like Christian Kirk instead of pick 47, there would have been a little bit more difficult for me. There I would have been going back and forth, but I don't know. One thing I want to point out is if you're that team at pick 3 that decided to go ahead and take Terry McLaurin at pick 46, don't really get why you're taking Burrow there at 51. You don't have Higgins. You don't have Chase. Let me know what you think. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown format and I don't have Higgins or Chase for the stack, I would almost rather take Justin Fields. Because with Burrow, for him to have like a true difference-making spike week and for him to win you your week or win you your league, you probably need some strong production as well from either one of, say, Chase or Higgins. Whereas if you're looking at the opposite end of the spectrum, you don't need that with Justin Fields, right? Like Fields can go out there and Fields can have 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in a single game. And it's not like any other Chicago Bears have to do well. Whereas Joe Burrow's not doing that. Burrow could be better in fantasy in a vacuum, but okay. Sar says it was just to block the stack. One thing I want to say is if you are drafting in your fantasy football league to try to screw over another owner or block another owner from doing something, you are just sacrificing. Like that should never be a thought process. Now, of course, you should think about what your other league mates are wanting to do, right? So Bush is here say, when we are going to have 2 picks before him, he should think, okay, well, what is Mason most likely going to do? And then he can use that to say, okay, well, if I say, for instance, if Bush wants Dallas Goedert, he'll probably know he has to take Dallas Goedert at 71 because I'm going to take Goddard to stack him with Jalen Hurts if he doesn't. But that's not to say that just because I am targeting the Jalen Hurts Dallas Goedert stack, he should try to block it. It's more, does he want that player? And if he does want that player, does he need to pull the trigger on that player now? If that makes sense. So obviously think about what your league mates are doing. But if you're making your decisions solely to try to screw over one of your league mates, you're just going to end up making suboptimal decisions through the draft. Bush just goes Mike Evans. I definitely would have taken Mike Evans if you would have fallen to us. I think we're going to go Dallas Goedert and then Jordan Addison. We're going to make that continued bet on the Minnesota Vikings passing offense with Justin Jefferson as well as Jordan Addison. We're going to make the continued bet on the Philadelphia Eagles passing offense with Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts. So not too much to discuss, but at wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Hopkins, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison. Running back, we have Derrick Henry. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. So the offenses that we are making a bet on so far, we are betting on the Minnesota Vikings with Jefferson, Addison. We are betting on the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. And we're betting on the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. So, yeah. I know we have a lot of Jalen Hurts. We have a lot of Dallas Goedert. I mean, now I think after this draft, we should have 9% Jalen Hurts. And let me see how much Goddard I have. I have to be pushing 20% Goddard at this point. Because I take Dallas Goedert even when I don't have Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I have 17% Dallas Goedert. I have a lot of Dallas Goedert, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Deep Praver says, I saw a guy literally do that on a stream, picking players to keep people from drafting. See, the thing is, if you're in like Best Ball Mania, right? If I'm in this draft with 11 other people, in this tournament, I'm not just drafting against them. Best Ball Mania is that $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. I'm drafting against another 677,000 people. So if I block somebody in the buddy next to me, it does nothing. It accomplishes 0. You block one of the 677,000. The only thing that you should focus in on in these drafts is not trying to make someone else's team worse. The only thing you should focus in on is trying to make your team better. I would say the same thing even if it wasn't a tournament. Like, even if it was just your regular redraft 10-team league or whatever. There you still don't want to be drafting to try to screw someone else over because you're just going to screw your own team. And I'm not doing this from like some moral grounds. I mean, obviously, fantasy football shouldn't really have too many morals. I mean, it's cutthroat. You go out there and win your league. That's the only thing that matters. But the path to winning your league isn't trying to make sure that everybody else loses it. The path to winning your league is focusing on your team and making it as good as possible. Okay, James Cook going off the board, pick 87. I have a decent amount of James Cook, so it's actually not bad for me to see him rising up in ADP. Just in general, like, I really haven't drafted any wide receivers in rounds like 8, 9, and 10. Burks goes. I mean, imagine us getting Treylon Burks and just going full Tennessee Titans onslaught, making the bet that somehow the Titans are a top 5 offense this next year. Okay, let's move this down. And yeah, it looks like our decision to go maybe Bateman and then try to pair him up with Zay Flowers in the last draft was misguided. In this draft, we see Flowers going before Bateman. Maybe this is fueled off the Bateman report, not at training camp with a foot injury, blah, blah, blah. And this just little blurb is going to move players in these drafts. I mean, that's a big thing that you have to recognize in drafts, whether a player should rise or should fall. Like, this is the perfect, say, Sky Moore example, right? Say if you're around this range with Sky Moore, you have to understand with Sky Moore getting positive camp buzz, it doesn't really matter if you believe he should rise or stay the same given the report of him playing in the slot. The fact of the matter is he is going to rise. So you have to take that into consideration when you go through and make these picks. Sutton goes pick 94. Bateman off the board. We're not taking Tua. Kind of want to reach on Charbonnet and Dillon. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Hopkins, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison. We go Charbonnet and Dillon. I like these guys in that I kind of want to take Evan Ingram. No, don't take Evan Ingram, you idiot. I like these guys in that they can hit our starting lineup even with the starters in front of them healthy. But if you were to see an injury to either Kenneth Walker or to Aaron Jones, these guys could have asymmetrical upside to win your league. I don't really know if like Tyler Boyd, Sky Moore in this round can turn into top 10 options at their positions. Yeah. I think if we are trying to really make an argument for this pick making some sense, maybe we can say, oh, okay, we're going to get a little bit of unique combo as well. These guys exclusively go in the middle of round 9. Not too many of these players, are going to take these guys at pick 96, 97 on the same roster. So maybe if we really wanted to, we can make the unique combo argument. But in reality, I just kind of like them at this price. But we have Michael coming out, says, loved this draft so far. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you. Thank you. Bush Sports says, I'm thinking there's no way he takes Ingram right. I'll take Bateman first. I have in a lot of these other drafts taken Dallas Goedert and Evan Ingram on the same roster. But the more that I think about it, the more that it's probably not advantageous to do, considering the fact that if we are going to see a pretty big spike, you expect it to be from our main stack with Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. So you'd assume that you do have Goddard in our starting lineup at the same time. I think maybe Kyle Pitts is a little bit of a different story because I think Kyle Pitts is just such a damn good value at pick 72. We give ourselves a little more flexibility here as well, not taking Evan Ingram to pair with Goddard, because if we go Ingram, we are stuck only drafting 2 tight ends. So even if a tight end makes it back around to us, I don't know. We have taken Evan Ingram there before. I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest. I would love to know your opinion, but okay. Now you have Pat Frymuth, Anthony Richardson, David Njoku all off the board. Brian Robinson goes 109. Brian Robinson's a running back that I think should be going like about a round earlier than he does. Like 100% I'm in on this Brian Robinson price tag. Eduardo says, how are you always the 101? Okay, Eduardo, here's what you got to do. You have to try as hard as you can. Practice, 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 and practice. And eventually, you can pick one as well. Not going to say it will be easy. It's never easy. But it's possible. It's possible. Okay. Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones off the board, 112, 113. I actually don't mind the idea of going and taking Ryan Tannehill here as well. Stacking Tannehill with Derrick Henry as well as DeAndre Hopkins when we've already made the bet on the Tennessee Titans offense. Juju Smith-Schuster goes 115. Jameson Williams 116. Prod gets insane value with Jameson Williams. Almost 20 picks past ADP. I'm jealous of that, my man. I am very jealous of that. Damian Harris goes. Let's see what Bush decides to do. I don't want to say too much. Of course he takes our guy. Of course he takes Khalil Herbert. Now, what the hell am I supposed to do? Maybe we just go RB here and we're done at running back. Do we just go Devon Achane and Elijah Mitchell? This is just so freaking gross, like this spot. We're going to do it. I wish we had Khalil Herbert. I think it's crazy Devon Achane has an ADP higher than Herbert. I would definitely prefer Khalil Herbert over him, especially when we have DJ Moore here. But I think this is a pretty unique build. I think it's an interesting team. Bush just goes Zay Jones. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking he was possibly going to go Zay Jones earlier to pair with Evan Ingram, but I mean, it is what it is. Now wide receiver, we're sitting with Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison. Running back, we have Derrick Henry, Zach Charbonnet, A.J. Dillon, Devon Achane, Elijah Mitchell. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. Tight end, we have Dallas Goedert. So this will be a team where we most likely only take 2 quarterbacks. This will be a team where, honestly, I may take 3 tight ends, 5 running backs, and 8 wide receivers. But Nabella says Team 7 looks strong. Let's go ahead and let's check out Team 7. So Team 7 goes Austin Eckler round 1. Follows it up with Waddle, Ridley, London, Aaron Jones, Pierce, Swift, Flowers, Thomas, Nico Collins. Interesting team. I haven't built a lot of my teams around like 3 wide receivers in rounds 2, 3, and 4. Like generally, if I am going to do so, I'm at the later part of the first round. It's not something I do a lot if I'm in the middle of the draft, just because generally in the middle of the draft, I'd rather be taking like Travis Etienne over Drake London. I'm taking like Josh Jacobs over Calvin Ridley, but that's just me. Let's look at what Saram's done. Saram went with the Kelsey Mahomes stack out the gate in round 1 and round 2. Then follows it up with Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris. So Saram has an incredibly interesting team. I don't want to say it's a great team. Don't want to say it's a bad team, but it is an interesting team to say the least. Goes Darren Waller, pick 80. I'll say, my man, I really love what we did through the first 6 rounds. But in general, if you go with the elite stack of Kelsey Mahomes, I think to go bully tight end here with Darren Waller doesn't make a lot of sense. What I'd probably do instead is go Quentin Johnson there, pick 80. Treylon Burks, 89. Sky Moore, 104. I would love this team if we decided to go ahead and take Quentin Johnson instead of Darren Waller there. I would. AR says take Messi. What's actually funny is, unless the game's already kicked off, I don't know when it is, but I saw Underdog tweet out that they have a Messi player prop live. Yeah, so I guess that game's already live, but they had a Messi line of half a goal and 3.5 shot attempts. which I don't know a lot about soccer, but I assume it's hard to get a goal. But, okay. Let's move this over. We have a couple more quarterbacks going off the board as well. We're in an interesting spot in general. We have a bunch of tight ends falling, which honestly is probably going to put us at a little bit of an advantage here. But Scissors, happy to see you out, my man. Someone just brought you up earlier in the live stream. I want to say like last week, says, what's up, buddy? Almost that time of the year again. Curious your highest exposure players. I have Hollywood, Metcalf, Saquon as my 3 highs. I'm right there with you with Saquon Barkley. I think Barkley at this point, especially with me drafting him a ton over the past week, is closing in on my most drafted running back. But let's pull this up. I have Saquon Barkley 16%. Barkley is my 3rd most drafted RB behind Taylor and Kamara. And then in terms of my other guys, I have Lance a ton, 23%. I have Pittman 18%. Diggs 18% as well. But a big bet that I'm essentially making, and I wasn't expecting to do this, but obviously, don't really know exactly how ADP is going to be at the beginning of the year, is that big bet I was looking at is just the Indianapolis Colts being a little bit better than people expect. Like, I think the price point on Michael Pittman is so much better this year than it was last year. And Jonathan Taylor, I'd say as well. So I've been taking a lot of them. And AJS says, no shot. That is Scissors. Yes. That is Scissors. Scissors has been a long time. Remember the flock. Always super happy to see him out. We haven't had him out here in the live stream with us in quite some time. But we have a couple more tight ends going. Let's see what Bush decides to do. Okay, he goes Adam Thielen. Kind of sucks for us. What we are looking to do is possibly go Thielen, Jonathan Mingo here and pair up both Carolina Panthers wide receivers. Y'all know at a turn like this, that's generally what I'm trying to do. I think now instead, I may go Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. A big reason being is I think that if we decide to go ahead and take a tight end here, we still probably want to take 3 tight ends almost regardless. So I do like making the bet that maybe something happens that's unexpected in this Kansas City Chiefs passing offense, whether that's Kadarius Toney being bad, definitely a possibility. Whether that's Travis Kelce getting injured in his, age 34 season. But almost regardless, I like going ahead and taking that one consolidated bet and putting it on the Kansas City Chiefs passing offense here. I'm not a big Toney guy. I'm not a big Sky Moore guy. And obviously, you have to be excited about Mahomes. You have to be. Okay. Now, Higbee, Everett go immediately after us. I think you could make a strong argument to go ahead and pull the trigger on a tight end there because I think these tight ends are candidates to outscore the wide receivers in this range, which is what we're always talking about, right? When it comes down to, are we taking a tight end or are we taking a wide receiver? If you think the tight end can outscore the wide receiver, you probably want to take the tight ends. But y'all know I just like taking these teammates on the turn. Our historical data shows us that it's pretty much what you want to be doing. And y'all saw us in the last draft going ahead and taking Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark at pick 144, 145. I definitely would have taken Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen if Bush just did not take Adam Thielen there at 143. Okay. Now Roshan goes 153. What we need to see is we want to see running backs getting drafted. We're done drafting running backs. Would be really nice to have Kmet making it back around to us when we have DJ Moore when we need a tight end. But in reality, it's hard to assume that you get Cole Kmet on the way back around. This is what we're looking at. Quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. So running back, we already have Derrick Henry, Zach Charbonnet, A.J. Dillon, Devon Achane, as well as Elijah Mitchell. Don't love our team, if I'm going to be honest with you. Kind of is what it is. Okay. Shawnee says, does taking 2 from the same team apply to running backs as well? Generally not, because you have to think about what you're making in terms of a bet with these guys, right? So when we take Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, we went through and we kind of explained what kind of bet we're making. Or we can say the same thing with Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo when we took them in the last draft. You can make the bet that the passing offense is better overall, and if that were to be the case, both of those guys could do well. You could make a bet that maybe there's an unexpected injury to someone in said offense, propping up the target share for both players. So with the Chiefs, we can take Rice and MVS here, and a couple different ways this could work out is, one, the unproven wide receivers in Toney, Sky Moore may not do anything this next season, or 2, maybe you end up in a spot where, I don't know, Travis Kelce gets injured like we've already discussed. There are a couple different outs, there are a couple different avenues for it to be working if you pair those guys up. But Prod decides to go Cole Kmet, snipes us at 164. It would have been beautiful if we would have had Cole Kmet making it back around to us. Now I am not really confident I know what we want to be doing here, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny Pickett, not really in play for us. We have no Pittsburgh Steelers. There's not really a Pittsburgh Steeler we can take in the rest of this draft. Yeah. I see you out here, my man. It's all right. It's all right. I would have taken Kmet as well if I were you, so can't blame me at all. Okay. Bush just goes Taysom. Let's think this through. So we need, at minimum, one more quarterback, one more tight ends, and we'll have 2 more spots. So we could go one more wide receiver. Okay. I think I'm just trying to do the math here. We have 4 spots left. We go one more quarterback, 2 more tight ends. No, we can't do that. And one more wide receiver. And we have 5 spots left. Mason, you're an idiot. We're going to take Jaden Reed and Curtis Samuel. General, I like their price points. I think these tight ends aren't too different of the options that we'll have available to us later on. So we'll take the wide receivers here, and then we will grab the tight ends in the next few rounds. I was hoping we were going to get Taysom. It is what it is. Bush is not going to allow that to happen. Don't blame the man at all. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a very awkward team. Let me know your thoughts on this roster. I mean, I was initially pretty excited about this, but I just feel like we were put in some difficult spots, and I think that kind of what happens when we're drafting next to Bushes, but I don't know. And of course, real quick, if y'all want another draft after this, we're about 100 likes away from hitting 600 likes in this live stream. Go down there, drop a like in the stream. If we had 600 likes, we're going to be firing up another draft. And let's get this going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this going. Fournette goes off the board 172. Ezekiel Elliott goes 170. Ghost says you waited too long for running backs. Let me see what we did with RBs. Oh, hey, and Scissors, let me know real quick. Are you still in this chat? If you're still out here in the live stream, let me know if you have any interest on coming on. Let me know, my man. Always. Obviously, you know you have the open invite, but I'd be happy to have you. I'm sure a lot of people love to see you work your magic in a fantasy football draft. But going back and looking at our opportunities to possibly take other running backs. Do we go Aaron Jones over DJ Moore? Probably not. Do we go DeAndre Swift over Jordan Addison? Probably not. I don't know. Outside of taking like Ramondre Stevenson instead of Jalen Hurts, I don't know where we wanted to go with another running back. Scissor saying, oh, okay. Super happy to hear that, my man. I think that'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It'll be not only for myself, but for everybody watching as well. Okay, Dawson Knox goes 179. John Mechie off the board 180. Now, in terms of tight ends that we're going to be looking at here, you have Jerome Ford falling a considerable amount, which is interesting. But tight ends that we can be looking at, pretty much any of them. I think at quarterback, we're probably going to want Ryan Tannehill. A big reason for that is the end of the day, there won't be a lot of teams that took Ryan Tannehill in Best Ball Mania. More importantly, there won't be a lot of teams that stacked Ryan Tannehill and DeAndre Hopkins. So if somehow those guys were to have a massive season this next year, then all of a sudden we'd be in a spot where we have a little bit of a unique exposure to those players compared to the rest of the field. Which obviously that's something that we're always looking to grab. Okay. Let's move this down. Jack says 4 QB isn't crazy. If you're in like a private draft on Underdog, it depends on where you take your quarterbacks. 4 QBs aren't crazy. But if you're in a tournament draft on Underdog where you're looking for the highest week-to-week ceiling, then taking 4 quarterbacks is crazy. It is. So I think I'm at about 80 Best Ball Mania entries. I thought I was at more than that. And honestly, I'm happy that I'm only at 80. Because last year, I think we ran out like a month before the year. And then whenever they didn't have a puppy live, it was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? But nearing in on 100. Interesting. I feel like it's good pace. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We are going to pull the trigger on at least one of these tight ends for sure. We're going to go Ryan Tannehill, though, just to make sure we don't mess up this stack. I mean, we are live streaming. It's not the end of the world taking Ryan Tannehill here. I mean, we have that double stack with Hopkins, with Derrick Henry, of course. We'll go Gesicki, and then we're going to take another tight end in the following round, whoever makes it back around to us. Tesla asking Scissors who his highest exposure was. Scissors said his highest exposure guys were Hollywood, Metcalf, Barkley. Scissors, where are you taking Metcalf? Is Metcalf out of that list? Is the one guy that I've had an issue drafting? Just generally, I am finding myself taking like the running backs in that range more so than Metcalf. I mean, I'm not completely fading Metcalf. Right now, I have 7% DK Metcalf, so I'm pretty much right in line with market. But if Metcalf is one of your highest drafted guys, like, are you taking Metcalf over Ramondre, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs? Okay. Let's move this over. CEH goes 194. CJ Stroud 195. Good for us. I guess, you know what? Maybe we do have the flexibility if we really wanted to pull the trigger on a third QB. Probably not going to want to, though. Probably not going to want to. Okay, Cordell Patterson off the board, 201. I would love to have Hayden Hurst on the way back around. Kevin says, hey, Mason, you ever thought about rolling the dice and drafting Mahomes, Kelsey, or Hurts, Dallas Goedert, and then drafting all running backs, wide receivers? Seems like it could work. Definitely could work, and I think in weekly winners, maybe that's something you're a little bit more excited about doing. My issue with that is if we're looking at quarterbacks, like we take Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert here, right, for instance. If I'm looking at the extra wide receiver I'd be able to draft instead of Ryan Tannehill, that guy's Darius Slayton. So the real question is Darius Slayton moving the needle for us? Probably not, you know. So I understand the thought process behind it, and I know a lot of people want to get cute that way, especially in these tournament-style contests. But in reality, I think the expected value gain that they think they're getting just simply isn't there. I completely understand why someone would say that, though. Okay. So this says, I'm usually taking Breece over him, but mostly around ADP. Couldn't tell you why other than hoping for him to fall into the end zone more this year, just a gut feeling. That's something I said I recorded a video like 2 weeks back about DK Metcalf. I went through and looked at what we've had over the past 3 years, and it's not like super encouraging for Metcalf to be like a league winner this next year. But I said in the video, I was like, I would never tell someone not to draft DK Metcalf because at the end of the day, Metcalf is a type of player that has it in his range of outcomes to go out there and be a top 5 wide receiver any given season. Like back in 2020, he was the wide receiver 6 from a points per game basis. So obviously Metcalf has an insane ceiling. That's why I'm not comfortable fading him. But at the same time, I want to be super excited to go through and draft him as much as possible. Okay. Let's see. Now, Bushes goes Marvin Jones. So we're going to get Hayden Hurst as our third tight end. Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense when we have Dallas Goedert, Gesicki. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us in this live stream. Really do appreciate y'all. And as always, I'll be live tomorrow. I'll be live the day after. I'll be live every single day until 2024. If you want to get in one of these drafts with us, you can on Underdog Fantasy. Find that link in the live chat. Find it in the description. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And make sure you're doing so ASAP so you can take advantage of the free Patrick Mahomes line that they have out until July 22nd. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate y'all and really hope we get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.